Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
There might be why everything's contaminated. Just throw your trash wherever. To the guys that created this, I was doing the director's cut before this, and they were talking. This was actually a mod first in Half-Life 2, and it was like in different sections of the city, so then they had to create this island just for this remake of it. So far, I'll give my hats off to you guys. You did a phenomenal job. The music just goes very well. It definitely creates an atmosphere. Sets the tone for everything.
An imagined answer phone message. The tires are flat. The wheel spins loosely, and the brake fluid has run like ink over this map, staining the landmarks and rendering the coastline mute, compromised. Where you saw galaxies, I saw only bruises cut into the cliff by my lack of sobriety. There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
The boat we go. Yes, to the boat we go. This is the right thing, but I'm doing it. It'll let me. Oh, it won't even let me go over there. Okay. So not to the boat.
I had kidney stones, and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Okay, so there's that life stuff. Guess I made a decision just now and took the high path. We'll see how it works out. If this is the right one. Ooh, there's a cabin up ahead. But yeah, like the life things that I was talking about, this is all really just one big metaphor, really, for life.
I've begun my ascent on the windless slope of the western side. The setting sun was an inflamed eye squeezing shut against the light shone in by the doctors. My neck is aching through constantly craning my head up to track the light of the aerial. I must look downwards, follow the path under the island to a new beginning.
See where this is going. That's sad. I don't know if I want to say anything for the people that have put it together.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. When the oil lamps ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but used the moonlight to read by. When I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
Yet it returns. What? So there's that again. Saw that down in the cave. I guess Hermit's Cave is what it's called. Down at the very bottom over there. The same image. Right. Really any walking room now, boys.
In a footnote, the editor comments that at this point, Donnelly was going insane as syphilis tore through his system like a drunk driver. He's not to be trusted. Many of his claims are unsubstantiated, and although he does paint a colourful picture, much of what he says may have been derived directly from his fever. But I've been here, and I know, as Donnelly did, that this place is always half imagined. Even the rocks and caves will shimmer and blur with the right eyes.
So our guy wasn't that pious.
They found
Yeah.
Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. All around him, small flowers were reaching for the weak sun. The goats had adjusted happily to life without a shepherd and were grazing freely about the valley. Donnelly reports they hurled the body in fear and disgust down the shaft, but I cannot corroborate this story.
Now, I know that's a ship's mast, but the way it's shaped makes me think that's supposed to be a cross to mark resting places. Maybe I shouldn't go here. I'm gonna go ahead. Because I really want to know how the rest of the story goes.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent. Donnelly did not pass through the caves. From here on in, his guidance, unreliable as it is gone from me. I understand now that it is between the two of us, and whatever correspondence can be drawn from the wet rocks.
And you know what? I'm gonna say later, guys, because I'm gonna do some more work, try and figure some stuff out, so that way we can make some progress, maybe understand a little bit more about what I'm looking at here in this game. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Later.